what we all find is that, we get busy in our careers, and we have family at home, and we have work at work, and we work so much. Many of us don't have that core group of friends outside of that. Talking to my partners, like most of them, like, yeah, I just kind of lost all my friends because I got kids, and it's like I leave work, I got to go to a game, and I'm watching a play or a show and going on vacation, and there's no time for friends. And exactly like what you're talking about, there's no place for us to vent just the daily rigors of marriage and being a father and work and life. And that's the thing, I still kind of struggle with that, because again, like all my partners are working, so they don't have, talked about meeting up, but most of them are busy, so there's not as much free time. And it is the one thing that I've noticed now working part-time that I'm like, holy crap. Like, I see my kid off to school, and people are outside exercising and jogging, and there's people at the coffee shop, and lunch places are packed. I'm like, my God, like, you mean like the whole world isn't at work from 6 to 6?
People are living.
I'm just amazed that there's this life outside of healthcare that I just didn't even know was there for the past 20 years.
Over the last several years, I've, started to discover through conversations, with Ryan and, and close friends and people of like little things that I'll just experience throughout, the day or the month, or, get hyper focused on something, and it'll be like, yeah, that's called anxiety. It's like, huh? No, I don't have anxiety. That's not me. And it's like, no, it's okay. It's okay sometimes to not be okay.
I think one of the things that you mentioned briefly, I can't remember if it was before we started recording or right when you started talking about this, was let's focus on those solutions, right? So for you mentioned the cognitive behavioral therapy, but you also mentioned things like meditation and mindfulness and
boundaries.
Boundaries was a huge one. That was one of the big things for me that I set up that really, really helped. I think you mentioned nutrition too. Like what, let's provide some solutions, because this is such a common problem. We hear physicians are getting out of medicine at alarming rates. People are not going into medicine because of this, what they're hearing. And then the physician suicide numbers are massive. And of those, I mean, we talked about it a bit, 2.2% of physician suicides are orthopedic surgeons. So what did you find super helpful, and what do you do on a regular basis now to kind of keep balance?
So John Kabat-Zinn created the mindfulness-based stress reduction program at UMass, I think in the 70s or 80s. And I took the 8-week course from home. And again, it just took my practice further. But what's interesting is, like, he says that, what's interesting is how doing nothing is actually the solution. They created that program for like all of our surgical patients that we couldn't help anymore, chronic pain patients, the back patient that's had multiple operations, or, people with other illnesses, psychological or physical, where doctors basically said, I can't help you, there's nothing more. And it was the last ditch effort. And now that program is seen as instituted early, because that mindfulness-based program can actually help people early, as opposed to letting things get out of control. Like we talked about this, the social interaction. So social interaction is huge, right? A lot of people, when we're depressed, we isolate. And the thing they teach over and over again is action before motivation. Nobody wants to do anything. Nobody wants to go out. Nobody wants to make that phone call or do the laundry, but like, you got to get up and do those little things. So the action portion was huge. And kind of on an aside, because you had mentioned something earlier too about like military. We're in San Diego, which is a huge military town. And I would say 90% of the patients in this program, healthcare or military.
Wow.
What that says about those two professions, I kind of let people make their own conclusions.